Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Late Night Brew, where we talk the brews first, then we get around to what we're supposed to after the fact. Joining me on this great episode on Hybrid Join is Aaron Parker. Welcome back to another episode, man.
Good morning, good evening, I should say. How you doing?
I am doing good, especially now that I'm filming. So, the most important question of the day, evening, is of course, what brew are you having with me?
Right, so I am drinking a Moondog Pale Ale.
Mm.
I think Pale Ale is certainly not for everyone, but I do enjoy them every now and then. I think this one's it is a little bit cold out here, but this one is definitely a good summer drink.
Ah, gotta love the refreshing. I am still drinking a summer drink, even though it's cooling off here. I apologize to every Austrian who, because I'm gonna slaughter this name. Herder Morkel, dark lager. So it's
Nice.
yeah, I love a good dark dark IPA, black IPA, black lagers. I love that malt for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
very refreshing. Now on to hybrid join. What exactly is it?
Yeah, well, so look, I thought a back to basic style session and talking about hybrid join is important because talk to a lot of customers around a lot of like things like configuration manager and Microsoft Intune and authentication when they're on a desktop device or something like Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And I'm surprised to see the number of customers who have not yet enabled hybrid join. So when I'm talking hybrid join, we're talking hybrid Azure AD join and what's now called Entra hybrid join. Got to get used to the new terminology. It's going to take a little bit, so we might stumble over that name a bit.
Don't worry,
um,
they'll by the time I get used to it, they'll change it again.
yeah. So it's really important piece that you need to get into place. And as I say, I'm surprised the number of environments that have not enabled it or
Yeah.
enabled it at this point. So they're in like several different camps. Either they don't know what hybrid join is, or they know what hybrid join is and they've only enabled it for a subset of machines. Or they're saying, yeah, we'll enable hybrid join and we'll get to it at some stage. So, we're talking different types of projects like configuration manager with co-management, Microsoft Intune, uh, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. It's a prerequisite for these enabling these products and getting onboarded really quick that you've got to go and do this preparation work beforehand.
Yeah, that's a great, where and what is it getting used for, those pieces parts across. Now, beyond the obvious of, hey, we want to better manage our devices, of course, why is this so important? Or why is it so important to turn it on, I should say?
Yeah, so I think everyone's aware of how important user identities are. So when I migrate to something like Microsoft 365 and I'm using Entra ID to authenticate to my applications, I need to sign in as something. So my email address and a password, or email address and no password these days, using strong authentication. But I think the idea of device identities is not as well understood. So
Yeah.
the first thing that Entra Hybrid Join does is that it enables single sign-on. So I'm a user, I sit down in front of an Active Directory joined Windows PC, and I open the browser or open, say, Word or Excel or something like that, and then I sign, and those applications are signing into Microsoft 365. I don't want to see an authentication prompt. I've
Yeah.
already signed into my device. I want to get single sign-on into Microsoft 365, and that's the first thing that Hybrid Join enables. So it enables a token called the primary refresh token, which is the token, the authentication token that's presented to Entra ID. I almost said Azure ID, Azure AD. So now I'm now getting the two of them mixed up. um, so that primary refresh token is the key thing. It's the authentication token that gives you single sign-on. So
Right.
by enabling hybrid join, that's the first thing that it does. So it improves the user experience. I get single sign-on. I don't get additional authentication prompts. I don't have to type in username, password, and save my credentials somewhere. It just makes that user experience so much better.
And that's always huge. I think we can both user experience makes and breaks everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, So the first thing is enable single sign-on, but the second part of that is it enables a device identity in Entra ID. So now in this case, the device is joined to Active Directory and it has a computer record in AD. Now it's also joined to Entra ID, hence hybrid join, and that enables the device to have an identity in Entra ID. And then with that, we can do a few things. So it is a prerequisite for enabling something like enrolling into Microsoft Intune.
Mm-hmm.
If it needs to be done, unless you're doing direct Entra join, you need to enable Entra hybrid join before you can start to enroll into Intune, right? It's also a prerequisite for enabling co-management with Configuration Manager in Intune. So that's an important prerequisite. And if you're also a Configuration Manager customer and you want to deploy a cloud management gateway, it's an important piece in device authentication to the cloud management gateway. Probably a couple of other components. So it's also not a strong prerequisite, but it will certainly make life so much easier if Entra Hybrid Join is enabled as you are onboarding devices into Defender for Endpoint, because that identity already exists in Entra ID, and then you're onboarding into Defender for Endpoint, and you can pick up policies out of MDE.
Yeah, that's an important one. Those are some really, really good use cases. And like you alluded to, right, there's a lot of organizations, so I'm going to take the floor now in a rare one where I'm going to talk rather than whoever I'm interviewing.
I'll have a sip.
Now's your chance. In what I do, I work with a lot of organizations and I help them onboard and adopt Microsoft. And on that camp of, oh, we're really worried or worried about user impact, right, or device impact, I can say across the last few years, all the organizations, I'd probably put them at about 50 or so, 50 to 60. I've helped onboard into Intune. Turning on hybrid,
various sizes as well.
Yeah, from the 150, hey, we're just trying to save some time, to the 5, 10, 20,000, we need efficiency. Across the board, the toggling or the enabling of hybrid join has never been the issue. It's things like, hey, we forgot to punch this hole in the firewall or whitelist this URL, or we were going through Azure and we deleted a whole bunch of devices so that we had a clean slate. And oh, by the way, we were the accounts were logged in on the Windows side, and suddenly everyone got logged out, right? It's stuff like that where bigger impact happened because of either enrollment or device deletion or stuff like that. Never the, hey, we're turning on hybrid join and let's get that identity synchronized up into Entra.
Well,
that's and really think about that
one. That's where we see that conversation with customers go, right? Is they may not have the confidence to do it. I like to refer to it as, call this Project Nike, just do it. So as you say, there's no user impact, visual impact to the user experience, right? And even it should be even better, because if you don't have hybrid join, you don't have single sign-on. So they might be having to type in username and password, or type in the username and respond to an MFA prompt. Once you've enabled Entra hybrid join, you've got single sign-on, so you've got a better user experience.
That's huge.
So that like giving customers confidence that, yes, let's just enable it, let's do it in bulk, and we just get it done. Now, you don't have to do it in bulk to start with, right? You can scope it.
Oh yeah, you that's the great thing about AD Connect, is you can scope those OUs. And actually, on that point, we've eaten up our time. So, Aaron, thank you very much for joining me, mate. It's always a pleasure to chat. Until next time, cheers, and looking forward to the next episode.
I'm going to finish off my morning beer.
That's a great answer.